Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. And if you saw my video yesterday and you shared it or you even watched it, thank you very much. That was almost 30 minutes long and it really dove into literally stem to stern Facebook for the last 15 plus years. I think it was very important and very needed. And so I thank you for your support on that. And moving on, because we have something definitely very important to talk about here today, obviously not for 30 minutes, and we're going to be talking about a study that was just published on Friday. Now, this was in the journal, and I've got notes here, the JAMA Network Open. Now, basically, researchers in this study searched for apps using the keywords of depression and smoking cessation. We're talking about mental health here. They then downloaded these apps and checked to see whether the data that these apps were sending back and forth were being shared, and they did this by intercepting the traffic as it was moving in transit. Now, here's the interesting thing about this. Much of the data that the app shared didn't immediately identify the user or was even strictly medical, because again, we're talking about mental health apps. But here's the thing, 33 of the 36 apps that they actually downloaded, tested, and analyzed shared information that could be given to advertisers and data analytics companies, basically giving them insights into digital behavior. Now, if we're looking at this, a few of these apps even shared sensitive information like health diary entries. In other words, let's say you're in your mental health app and you are punching in how you're feeling today. That was being shared by a few of these apps. Self-reports of substance abuse. In other words, let's say you're tracking every time you've abused a narcotic or whatever that is, and you're tracking that this app was sharing it, and also usernames, meaning they could put your substance abuse or your diary entries with your username. Now, I'm going to continue. This is all coming from The Verge. I thought this was very interesting. 92% of the 36 apps shared data with at least one third party, mostly Facebook. So we can add that technically to the video that I did yesterday. And again, please go watch that if you haven't. It's kind of nuts. And number 2 was Google. Both of these are running services that help marketing, advertising, and data analytics firms. Now, moving on, about half of these apps didn't actually disclose that they were third-party data sharing, meaning they just simply didn't tell the user, they just were doing it. You didn't have the ability to opt in or out, and this was done for a few different reasons, according to the researchers. 1, 9 of the apps didn't actually have a privacy policy at all, yet these are very popular mental health apps. 5 apps did, but they weren't saying that the data would be shared in any way, shape, or form with advertisers, data analytics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And 3 of the apps actively said that this kind of data sharing wouldn't happen, yet it would. And so here's the thing. One of the things that we have to talk about, and I talked about this extensively yesterday in my Facebook app, and I will not mention this again, or Facebook video rather, is that we have to have a certain set of standards for apps, especially mental health, especially those that are very critical and sensitive to what you are posting on there. And if you have an app that is basically sharing the data at will and it's telling you that it's not, or it's not even giving you a privacy policy, not that many of us read these things, although I do, but I'm a total nerd, here we are. And so it behooves us to make sure that what we are using and what we are doing is actually benefiting us and not other people. If I had a very serious mental illness, whether it was depression or some kind of other addiction or something along those lines, the last thing I would want to do is share that with people I didn't actually know or I didn't want to share, nor would I want to be data mined on this, because who knows, in 20 years, maybe I've gotten over my depression, maybe I am no longer addicted to whatever I'm addicted to, and this comes back to haunt me in some way, shape, or form, especially if you're in the public eye in some way. So that is a very serious issue. Not to mention the fact that what if these advertisers are selling it to insurance companies that didn't necessarily know you're depressed, and here you are having your rates raised, or them looking at you with a certain amount of scrutiny that they typically wouldn't, because this is not something that you would have disclosed. So take all of this into consideration, but here we are with apps that are data mining you to the nth degree and giving them to Facebook and Google as a secondary, not to mention others that are doing this, but those are obviously the massive offenders. Not blaming Facebook for this, not blaming Google for this. They have their hooks into everything in this sense, but it really behooves us to be transparent, especially if we're developing apps, especially for sensitive issues like this. So take that for what it's worth, but that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.